Hello there. Welcome to our Flow and Restore Yoga with 10 minutes of guided meditation in the end. My name is Michelle Chua, and for today's physical focus, I thought we would do some post-Thanksgiving digestive physical postures such as spinal twist, which actually one of our live community members asked for some lower back release, so that's perfect. You may want to have quite a few props, especially for the second half of our practice, such as 2 blocks, a strap, a bolster, and a blanket. And I invite you to begin in any comfortable way to sit, in which you can lengthen your spine most easily, feel grounded, and relax your entire body. Take a moment to settle in, setting aside anything that might be a distraction so that you can commit to this next hour and 10 or 15 minutes to immersing in your practice. So there have been different ideas, but I'm going to take the minimum number, 6,000. So neuroscience tells us that we have at least 6,000 thoughts per day. That's a lot. And neuroscience also talks about negativity bias, that humans have this tendency to have negative thoughts because it's part of our survival mechanism to look out for danger and protect ourselves. And moreover, many of those thoughts are repetitive and are subconscious. We're not aware that we're even narrating something that's happening here in our minds through thoughts. Or sometimes we're just repeating something that we heard and it's happening in our minds. So how aware are you of your moment-to-moment thoughts? We might go crazy if we're constantly watching every single thought, but how aware are you of those thoughts that create a feeling of stress within you? Do you ever question those thoughts? Or do you believe all your thoughts right away? I love one of the writings in the Yoga Sutras, which I quote quite often, and it says, the mind is the ground for both bondage and liberation. Dogs agree. They put an exclamation point on that. The mind is the ground for both bondage and liberation. And so if we are constantly perceiving things and basically experiencing reality through our minds, how intentional are we with the thoughts that we choose to feed and thus repeat and create more of and believe? Because beliefs are basically just thoughts that happen over and over again so much that we've identified them as truths. And so our meditation practice later is going to be much about questioning those kinds of thoughts. But for now, as we move into the physical practice, preparing ourselves to be more attuned or reflective or observant, let's cultivate presence in our bodies. So I invite you now to pause and maybe close the eyes, bringing your attention to the sensations that you're feeling in your body. And even notice when the judgment mind starts to bring up thoughts like, oh, that's bad, that's good, I like this, I don't like that. Can you just let the sensations be as something you don't have to like or dislike? It's just what it is, an event happening. Which in turn allows us to be more familiar with the wide range of sensations. So notice anything your body might be asking of you in this practice. Begin to observe your breathing. No need to control it or change it. You might notice how smooth it is, how deep it is. Notice how your breathing is letting you know about your energy. Notice your mind. Is there a particular thought repeating, or do you already observe a pattern of kinds of thoughts that are arising? Without judging yourself, just notice. Can you observe any emotions that are moving through you right now? Is there anything your heart is asking you to hold space for? Without resisting it or trying to change it, can you just let it be as it is? And let's start to slow the breath down, feeling the inhalation expand in your body, and maybe making a sound as you empty it through your mouth. Letting each new breath become slightly deeper. Feel the emptiness at the very bottom of the exhalation. Is there a different area in your body you can invite the breath to expand into? Maybe a part of your body you don't necessarily give much of your attention or think of breathing into. Imagining the breath as a spotlight shining your loving awareness into where you're choosing to focus on breathing into. I invite you to continue deepening your breath both in and out as you acknowledge something about today or this week that you feel sincere gratitude for. Can you feel the energy of gratitude? Does it shift anything in your heart space? And then I invite you to clarify your intention for this practice, whether it be a feeling tone that you would like to practice embodying by how you approach moving and being still, or maybe a more specific intention of something that you are creating a shift in your life, any area of your life. Maybe about being intentional with your mind, which is our theme today. And then think of those around you, maybe those who don't get to benefit from being able to practice yoga today, or having the space and time to connect with their minds consciously. Is there anyone that you might like to dedicate this practice to as a way of extending loving kindness to them, that your efforts in this practice may also benefit their well-being? And together, let's open the space by chanting the sound Om, which is at the very center of our Mother Earth, that vibration that we are connecting to in celebration of our interconnectedness. Let's chant it 3 times together, honoring a pause of silence after each. So let in a deeper breath. And invite you now into a breathing practice that helps us to balance our energy while inviting calm and focus to our bodies and our minds. It's a practice called Ujjayi Pranayama, which means victorious breathing. It's done by closing the mouth, breathing just through the nose, and lengthening the inhale very slowly, and the exhale just as slowly, while creating a whispering sound, very soft sound that you can listen to as a way of steadying your mind and bringing it back to the present moment, moment by moment. Now that sound is created by gently narrowing the back of your throat. So give it a try and see if you can hear your breathing. When you can hear it, fine-tune the qualities of fluidity, so the breath is smoothly transitioning and you're sustaining it very slowly in, just as slowly out. Creating a gentle sound like peaceful ocean waves rising and falling, sort of like they're massaging your mind. Inviting a peaceful inner state as we approach our bodies. Let's start to move the torso here. Since we're going to be focusing on spinal twist quite a bit, we'll loosen it up with some circular movements of Sufi rolls. So press your hands onto your lap, sit up a little taller, draw the shoulder blades down. And as you breathe in, circle your torso to one side and shift forward. Exhale to the other side and shift back. Keep going a few more times in this direction. Imagine that there's a hula hoop that's hovering around the middle of your rib cage, that height, and you're trying to touch the inner circumference of that hula hoop with the different walls of your rib cage. And then try going in the opposite direction. You could also experiment with imagining a really wide hula hoop, so your circles are very wide in diameter, or really small hula hoop. Feel free to change it up for several more cycles of breath. Notice if there's a different direction your body wants to move. As I encourage you throughout this physical practice to observe your body and notice when it's giving you messages through sensations of how to approach a posture, what variation or props you might need, so that you can optimize the benefits of the physical pose while being honest with yourself and really taking care of your body. All right, couple more cycles of Sufi rolls. Let's continue moving the spine in a lateral direction. So as you root down through your sitting bones, if you've been sitting cross-legged, you might want to switch the cross of your legs just to even out the stretch you're already getting in your hips. Inhale, raise your arms and interlace your fingers, flip your palms inside out, press the shoulders and sitting bones down, lengthen up through the back of the skull and the chest. Then exhale to your right, side bend, press the heels of the palms away from you. Inhale, rise to center. Exhale to the left, side bend. Lengthen the sides of your neck. Inhale, center. Let's keep doing this. Exhale to the right. Maybe you reach a little further. Make sure you press the left glute into the ground. Inhale up. Exhale further to the left. Press the right glute down. Inhale up. Exhale to the right, maybe a little further. Inhale up. Exhale to the left. Last one in each side. Inhale up. So you might be feeling that your obliques at the sides of your waist are feeling some work. They're doing some work here to keep you from tipping over. And those are your twisting muscles, largely your twisting muscles. Relax all the way down with the arms. And let's come down to tabletop pose, hands and knees. So as you spread your fingers flat at the front of the mat, stack your shoulders on top of the wrists. And step your knees a couple of inches behind your hips. Let's move into flexion and extension of the spine, another direction of movement. Cat-cow, Betalasana. As you breathe in, slowly glide your chest forward and coil it up. Cow pose. As you breathe out, contract your abdomen, dropping your head to round the back. Cat pose. Again, inhale, draw your chest forward, peel the shoulder blades down your back ribs. Exhale, lifting your navel, tuck your tailbone under you, relaxing your neck. Go for maybe 2 or 3 more slow cycles of breath. Tucking your toes at the bottom of your next exhalation. Lift your hips high, press your thighs back, entering downward facing dog. Spend the first few breaths just moving any way your body needs to feel more free. You might pedal your feet in place to warm up the backs of your legs. You might add to that, swiveling your hips side to side to further lengthen the sides of your torso. You might shake and nod your head to help relax your neck and lengthen it. And as you press the ground away with your hands flat, lift the shoulders and hips back and press your chest towards your shins. Broaden across the tops of your shoulders by rotating your outer upper arms towards the ground. And let your head hang loose. Begin to find stillness as you land your gaze, your drishti, on one spot to help steady your mind. Listen to a couple more cycles of breath in Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. On your next breath in, sweep your right leg behind you, bending the knee. Exhale, turn out your right thigh at the hip. As you inhale, press your left outer hip further back. And as you exhale, cross the right knee to tap the outer side of your left upper arm, coming forward to plank in a twist. Inhale, sweep the right leg behind you again. Then exhale, open the knee to tap the right tricep, coming forward to stack shoulders over wrists. Inhale, raise the right leg. Now this time, rounding into plank, bend the knee high towards your nose. Softly step the right foot beside the right thumb and lower the back knee. Press your hands to the top of your right thigh into a kneeling lunge. Make sure your legs are as wide apart as your hips distance. Bring the feeling as if you're dragging your legs towards each other to create a sense of stability below. And as you press the hands down at the crease of your right hip, lift your spine, lengthen up to the sides of the torso, then soften your shoulder heads back, melting them down. Lift your heart. Now, if your balance feels pretty stable, you could add raising your arms overhead and hooking your thumbs. Peeling the upper arms behind the ears as you continue to soften the shoulders down. Gently coil your chest up. We're here in Anjaneyasana, which is a back bend for 2 more breaths. Now, as you exhale, lift your spine more vertically upright, and if needed, shorten your stance to prepare for a spinal twist. So that means have your left knee directly on top of your left, or directly below your left hip, and your right ankle directly below your right knee. Keep that energetic scissoring action and use your right hand to cup the top of the right thigh. Root down through the legs. Raise the left arm and inhale, stretch your spine down the midline of your mat. Let's plant the left fingertips either on the floor or on a block if needed, directly beneath the left shoulder, and start to twist to the right by turning the rib cage. Keep your right foot flat on the floor, making sure you're not twisting at your hips or your legs, just at your waistline, breath by breath. And then when you're ready, extend your right arm up towards the sky and wrap your right tricep, which is the outer upper arm, to face your right wall. Then extend the right arm overhead just enough where you can still lengthen all the sides of your neck, keeping twisting for 2 more breaths. This is a kneeling lunge version of twisting side angle pose. 1 more breath. Now as you exhale, backstroke the right arm, lower your fingertips to frame your right ankle. Now, if it feels like the ground is too low, maybe it causes your shoulders to round, elevate your hands on blocks. From here, start to slide the right heel forward towards straightening the right leg, just to your degree of comfort, and flex your right foot. Pressing the mount of the big toe forward, engage the quadricep. Draw the right outer hip back, equally lengthen both sides of the torso, left and right. Drawing your chest forward, little by little, fold towards the right shin. Pause as you breathe in to square your hips evenly, facing forward, and stretch your spine a little longer. If you can do so without rounding your back, continue to bow forward for 2 more breaths. This is half split, Ardha Hanumanasana. Inhale, lead with your chest, lift your torso up, and then step back to hands and knees, all fours. Either stay here for plank pose or straighten the legs. We'll pause for 3 breaths. If your legs are straight, actively press your inner heels back, firming the muscles in the legs. Either way, lift the sides of the belly and lengthen your neck. Wrap the triceps towards your rear wall. Now, as you exhale, glide forward and graze your elbows by your ribs. Chaturanga Dandasana. Lowering all the way to the floor, press the tops of your feet into the ground. Hug the elbows in and draw the shoulders back, inhaling into Cobra, Bhujangasana. Exhale, press up, lift your hips back to downward facing dog. Pausing here, steady your gaze, 2 deep breaths. Root down through fingers spread. Inhale, sweep your left leg behind you. As you exhale, bend your left knee and turn out the thigh at the hip. Staying there, inhale, tack your right outer hip back. Then exhale, cross the left knee to touch the outside of your right upper arm. Come forward to plank in a twist. Inhale, raise the left leg back. Exhale, open the knee to tap your left tricep in plank. Inhale, raise the left leg back. Through center, exhale, bend the knee high towards your nose, rounding in plank. Step the foot beside the left thumb. Lower the right knee. Make sure your legs are hips width apart. And lift the arms up. Let's press the hands onto the very top of your left thigh. Making sure your legs are as wide apart as your hips so it doesn't feel like you're trying to balance on a tightrope. Then add the stability of energetically dragging your legs towards each other. Firming into the ground, you can keep the hands here for more support in balancing, or raise your arms overhead and hook the opposite thumb on top. As you lengthen your tailbone forward, keep your hips equally facing the front. Spin your triceps forward and bring the upper arms towards behind the ears, coiling your chest up. Couple more breaths in Anjaneyasana. Inhale, lift your spine more vertically. Shorten your stance if you need for the twist, so your right hip is directly above your right knee. And your left knee is directly above the left ankle. Cup the top of the left thigh with your left hand, firming down through the legs, right arm up. Inhale, lengthen your torso forward. Keep the legs still. And exhale, twist to the left, lowering your right fingertips on the ground or on a block directly under the right shoulder. Raise your left arm up. So try not to turn the pelvis, but instead turn the rib cage breath by breath. Send both of your shoulder blades down your back ribs as you lengthen your neck forward. Wrap your left tricep to face the left wall and extend that arm overhead. Twisting side angle pose, Parita Parshvottanasana. Last 2 deep breaths. Backstroke your left arm and lower your fingertips to frame your left ankle. Hands on blocks or the ground. Half split, slide the left heel forward to straighten the leg to your degree and plug the thigh bone back into the hip socket to equally face your hips forward. Flex your left foot while pressing the mound of the big toe forward. Inhale, stretch your chest ahead of you, draw the shoulders down your back. Keeping your spine long, exhale, hinge little by little from your hips. A few more breaths here in Ardha Hanumanasana, which means half split. One more deep breath. Inhale, lift the chest. Step back to your version of plank. Pause for 3 breaths, engaging your abdomen and lengthening your spine as you rotate the triceps towards the rear wall. If your legs are straight, let them feel solid. On an exhalation, glide forward, graze your elbows by your ribs so that they bend at 90 degrees as you enter Chaturanga Dandasana. Then choose Cobra or Upward Facing Dog as you breathe in. Exhale to Downward Facing Dog. Pausing here, steady your gaze and listen to your breath. Have you noticed any kinds of thoughts arising? Please bring your knees to the ground, your feet together to touch. Sink your hips all the way back to your heels, entering child's pose with the arms extended forward. Notice the quality of your breath. Keep nurturing that slow, steady rhythm. Now, as you actively lengthen your arms forward, draw your shoulders and hips back. Keep your heart and head close to the earth. And let's come into another lateral extension of your spine, a side bend. Crawl your fingertips to the right as far as you can. Pausing there for a few breaths, you might imagine breathing down the left side of your torso. Then crawl your hands through center, switching over to the left. Breathing down the right side of your torso. Come back through center and slide your hands back alongside your knees. Drop your chin towards your chest, and with a slow inhalation, roll your spine upright to sit. Just pause here, couple deep breaths. Notice what you're noticing internally. As we slow down and have longer moments of stillness in the yin and restorative half of our practice, we have the opportunity to be more intentional with paying attention to what's arising, especially in thought form. Please backstroke your arms and place your hands on either two blocks or the ground behind you with your fingertips pointing away from your glutes. So they're pointing towards your back wall. Glide your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Pull in your lower belly so as not to overarch the lower back and compress it. Think of drawing the tailbone down and forward instead. And then right under your shoulder blades, imagine that part. Coil your chest up. A few breaths. You might start to look up, but try not to collapse your head into the back of your neck. Keep the back of your neck spacious, pressing the shoulder heads down the back. A few more deep breaths. One more breath, widening your collarbones. And then exhale, relax, and just pause. Observing your body, how it's responding. I'm going to invite you into another similar posture that will open up our front body just a little more, which will help to prepare us to go a little further in our spinal twists. And that is inverted tabletop pose. So please step your feet in front of you, your hips width apart and parallel to each other. Once again, backstroke your arms and place your hands, this time flat on the floor, with your fingertips facing either the back wall or your glutes. You can decide if you want a different stretch in the wrists. You can turn the fingertips forward. So you might watch, if you haven't done this before, when you contract your glutes and stretch your thighs forward, you want to invite your knees to stack directly above your ankles and your shoulders to stack directly above your wrists while you slide the shoulder blades down your back and actively stretch your tailbone towards the space between your knees. So when you're ready, come into your inverted tabletop for 5 to 10 deep breaths. And let's meet sitting down and pausing to observe. Invite you now into a spinal twist, sitting upright. So if you have your legs extended in front of you, notice the alignment of your spine. If your back tends to round like this, you might find it helpful to sit up on a folded blanket or a pillow to get a little more length. Bend your right knee and decide how you'll set up this twist, choosing the version that allows your spine to be upright and your body relaxed. So right foot in front of the hip or crossed outside the left knee, or you might also bend the left knee there. Place your right hand behind your pelvis and raise your left arm. With your lower body, press into the ground. Then inhale, stretch your spine taller, relax the shoulders. Keep your lower body still and exhale, twist to your right side, lowering your left arm on top of your leg or hooking the elbow outside of that thigh. Then inhale, press down and stretch your spine a little taller, shoulders relaxing down. Exhale, let the belly soften as you allow the twist to deepen. We're here for about 8 more breaths. On your next exhalation, unwind your spine, straighten your left leg forward, and you may want to place the strap around the ball of your left foot as an extension of your arms. We're going to come into a twisted version of head to knee pose. See if you can splay your right thigh wider apart from the left thigh than 90 degrees. Bringing the heel of the right foot towards your groins. Hold the strap in your right hand and flexing your left foot, kick it into the strap while you pull the strap so it's taut. Place the left hand on the ground outside your left leg and press downward with your two sitting bones as you breathe in to lift your spine and slide the shoulders down. Exhale, turn your chest to face the left side of your left leg, and in that direction, begin to fold just a little bit. Pause, breathe in and press the pelvis downward, stretching the spine long. And exhale, continue to fold, breath by breath, to the range of motion in which you can still create space, natural space, throughout all the sides of your neck. Parita Janu Shirshasana, twisting head to knee pose. One more deep breath here. Pressing downward to your sitting bones, lead with your chest. Inhale to slowly rise up. Place the strap aside and let's start with the upright spinal twist on side 2. So straightening your right leg forward, bend your left knee. And see if you can set up similarly as you did on the first side here. Step the left foot in front of the hip or crossed outside the opposite knee, in which you might also bend that bottom knee. Place the left hand behind you, raise your right arm, root downward to your lower body, and inhale, lift your spine, relax the shoulders down. Exhale, keep the lower body still as you twist to the left. Lower your right arm to hold the top leg, or hook the elbow outside that thigh. As you breathe in, press down to lengthen up. As you breathe out, relax the belly, continue to twist. About 8 more breaths. As you exhale, unwind your spine. If you're going to use the strap for twisting head to knee, place it around the ball of your right foot. Splay your left thigh open so that the angle between the thighs are, if possible, wider than 90 degrees. So left heel aims towards the groins. And hold the strap in your left hand as you flex your right foot and kick it into the strap. Place your right hand on the right side of your right leg on the floor. Press down through your sitting bones, and as you breathe in, lengthen up through the spine, relax the shoulders. Turn your chest to face the right side of your right leg. As you breathe out, start to fold in that direction, taking this breath by breath. One more deep breath. Pressing downward through your pelvis, lead with your chest to inhale, slowly rise up. Now from here, I'm going to invite you to face the wide width of your mat so that we can straddle the legs wide apart as you're comfortable. And again, if you find that your back tends to round here, you could prop your pelvis up on any of your props. So coming into a wide straddle, have some props within arm's reach so that you can set them up in front of you to the height that allows you to fully relax your torso into the props without closing off your throat and rounding the back. So you want to try to keep a long neck, long spine without feeling rigid, where your arms can relax so you're not trying to hold yourself up. So you could play with a stack of blocks for your forehead. You could play with creating an incline out of the blocks further away from you and a pillow slanting downward towards your pelvis. Maybe adding to that more pillows and blankets and or a folded blanket just for your forehead so that you can lie face down and breathe. Or you can turn your head to one side. So deciding what you need. We're going to be here for a few minutes. So make sure that you are comfortable enough to be still and allow the posture to open up for you. Coming back to that sound of the ocean in your breathing and allowing it to sort of massage your mind in the present moment. Try to keep your kneecaps pointing up towards the sky rather than rotating them forward. Inviting your sitting bones to root downward towards the earth. I invite you to check in with your body here. How are your neck and shoulders in this pose? Are they relaxing? Feel your belly, the muscles in your back. Notice your facial expression. What does it feel like? Sensing the overall energy in which you are approaching this asana, this posture. Tune into your mind. As we stay in this posture a little longer, you might find that your body is welcoming going deeper into the forward fold, in which you could shed layers of props that are holding your body up if you choose to lie closer to the ground. Just a few last deep breaths here in this variation of Upavishta Konasana, wide-legged forward fold. Now take your time beginning to rise up. Allow for a few breaths as you're moving through, lifting your torso gently. Pausing when you rise up to just let your body unravel from that posture as you observe it. Please place your hands on your outer thighs and slide your thighs close together as you bend the knees up. Bring the feet in front of you for seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Separating your feet about hips width apart. Flex your feet if you would like to use a strap as an extension of your arms to give your shoulders more ease in relaxing down. Place a strap around the balls of your feet. Press the insteps of your feet forward. We're only going to be in this posture for about 10 breaths. Root down to your sitting bones, and as you breathe in, lift up through the back of your skull and your chest. Slide the shoulders down, hug the front ribs in. Keep the spine long, and exhale, hinge just a little of your range from your hips. Pause as you breathe in, press the pelvis down, stretch your spine a little longer. Continue to fold from the hips, breath by breath. Some of you might reach, clasping your big toes and bending the elbows apart, keeping a little lift in the chest as you fold deeper. One more deep breath. Pressing downward to your pelvis, lead with your chest and inhale to slowly rise. And once again, I invite you to pause in Dandasana stick pose right here. You might even rest a hand on your heart center at the middle of your chest and a hand at your lower belly as you tune inward, practicing Pratyahara, one of the 8 limbs of yoga. Please find a comfortable way to sit in which you can breathe well for one more pranayama practice before lowering down to rest in Shavasana. Going to invite you into box breathing, Samavriti Pranayama. And I have used this breathing technique many a times in moments of feeling stressed or overwhelmed, getting nauseous when I'm car sick, or being in a cold plunge and trying to stay for 3 minutes. And it has done so much to support being present and observing the mind. So I hope that you find it helpful as well. The more we practice these different tools that yoga gives us, the more we can access them when we're not formally practicing, when we actually need them, when we are in stressful moments. And so let's begin box breathing, or Samavriti Pranayama, in which we'll close the lips and breathe very softly, more quietly than Ujjayi breath. We'll inhale for 4 counts, holding the breath for 4 counts. Try to relax. We'll exhale for 4 counts, holding the breath for 4 counts. Try to relax. That's 1 cycle. Let's try 3 cycles together and then continue on your own for 3 cycles before we let go of controlling the breath, and we'll observe. You might place your hands in a mudra that supports concentration or grounding. For both, you can bring your thumb and index fingers to touch and let the palms face down on your lap. So sitting up tall and relaxed, you might close your eyes, steadying your gaze towards your third eye center, which is towards the center of your brain, to help concentrate. Prepare to begin Samavriti Pranayama by emptying this breath. Let's begin inhaling for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Second cycle, inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 4, 3, 2, 1. Third cycle, inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Continue on your own for 3 more cycles. Without rushing, when you've finished, let go of controlling the breath and sit for a few moments observing anything you feel. And then gradually, please lower your body to the ground where you can lie down in stillness comfortably for a few minutes of corpse pose, resting, breathing naturally, closing your eyes, and doing nothing, just being present. With your eyes still closed, bring your awareness back to your physical body. And pause just to notice how it's feeling and responding from your physical yoga. Let your body guide you into how it wants to begin moving and gently waking up. Take your time, slowly stretching, and eventually turning over onto your right side and resting your head. As you arrive on your side, I invite you to pause and notice your breathing just as it is. And observe how you have affected your energy through your practice so far. As you're ready, please begin to lift your body up. Find a way to sit for 10 minutes of guided meditation in which you can feel grounded, alert, and relaxed. So this meditation is the practice of self-inquiry, inspired by the work of teacher Byron Katie. And it's one way that we can be more conscious of the thoughts, the kinds of thoughts that we feed, and observe the reality that we are creating from within our minds. And so I invite you to find a moment to just connect with your natural breathing. You might place your hands in a mudra to help you concentrate, or a hand to the heart center, a hand to the lower belly, and maybe close your eyes. Remember that one of the ways that we can be intentional with our minds is to give our minds an anchor to rest on. If our minds are feeling very busy, jumping from one thing to another. So if needed, you can rest your attention on the feeling of the breath naturally coming and going in your body. Letting the breath continuously bring you back to the present moment, the only place where the breath is happening. Sense what is supporting your body from below physically. Props you're sitting on, the ground. And allow yourself to not only be physically supported, but to feel a sense of being held, creating a sense of safety where you are. So in this practice of questioning thoughts, I invite you to reflect on a recent situation in which you felt stressed. Of course, choosing a situation that you can handle in this few minutes of meditation, maybe nothing too intense that might be difficult to come out of in such a short period of time. And so the stress response arises from our perception of a situation, even though it might be triggered by an external stimulus. It arises when our beliefs make us feel that we have to protect ourselves. For example, someone might feel stress when they're running late for a meeting, and it might be because they believe that they will be judged by those who are waiting for them as being irresponsible or inconsiderate or incompetent. So as you recall one situation in which you recently felt stressed, see if you can remember what beliefs or just repeated thoughts that you had accepted as true in that situation, which triggered the stressful feeling? What thoughts were you accepting in that moment of stress? So self-inquiry can be a useful process of asking your most truthful discernment within to bring to surface insight that may sometimes be lurking in your subconscious mind. So I'm going to invite you to ask a question to your wise being within, and not try to answer that question with your logical mind, but just observe what might come out of that question. They might be thoughts, they might be feelings or sensations or images, or nothing right now. Maybe you'll get something later. So we're just planting the seed with questions. So I invite you to select one of those thoughts that arose when you were in that stressful situation, one of those thoughts that you believed, and ask yourself, is that belief true? Is that belief true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? And when you believe that thought, how do you react? What do you feel inside when you believe that thought? And the last question about that thought is, how do you treat yourself and others when you believe that thought? How do you treat yourself and others when you believe that thought? Try not to judge yourself, just observe. Trusting your inner guidance as it really just lets us know our inner truths, unfiltered. So when you ask with a pure intent to see more clearly, sometimes the answers don't arise immediately. And sometimes they're very subtle, more energetic feelings like felt sense. And this entails a lot of deep listening and a willingness to be honest with ourselves. And so I'm going to invite you, if you're open to give it another try, coming back to that same stressful situation or a different one, I invite you to select another thought that you believed and caused you stress in that moment. Take a moment to choose that thought. And the first question to ask yourself about that stressful thought is it true? Is it true? Can you absolutely know that it's true? Sometimes we can be thinking that we can read other people's minds, but is it true? And how do you react, or what happens inside of you when you believe that thought? What do you feel inside when you believe that thought? And the last question about it is, how do you treat yourself and others when you believe that thought? How do you treat yourself and others when you believe that thought? You might remember that in the 8 limbs of yoga, there is a practice called satya, which means truthfulness. And this is one of those practices that we're doing now. And to wrap up this meditation, I invite you to allow a moment to offer yourself a gesture of loving kindness or gratitude for this particular meditation. As it's not one of those very simple, easy ones necessarily. Maybe you place a hand to your heart. Maybe you bow in towards your heart. Just a moment of gratitude to yourself. Now, as you move about the rest of your day, outside of these formal practices, what can you integrate that we practice today? In what ways can you be intentional with your mind? Not necessarily mastering the mind, but befriending it, knowing how powerful our minds are in creating the realities that we live in. As the Yoga Sutra said, the mind is the ground for both bondage and liberation. Which do you choose? As we bring our practice to close, allow a moment to offer gratitude to someone or something. Remember what your intention was when you enter this practice. And remember to whom you dedicated it. And together, as we chant Om 3 times, Allow your voice to send the vibration that we've co-created out into the world to share, as well as integrate within you. Add in a deep breath. Bowing in, honoring the light within. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.